Okay, right, I'm trying to do that time. Okay.
So pause it now. Everyone heard that, right? Recording. Yes.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Belinda.
Hi, Sally. Miss you. Hi, Sally.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, so welcome to the last lesson. We are on page 231. And
It's a short one because there's 2 pages.
Can you still make cake for us?
2 pages. Yeah, can we come for coffee?
you do know I don't make cakes every week. I take them out of the freezer.
Well, it's still very nice.
Good, thank you. Okay, it is short, but as I was, so this is one of the lessons that I prepared. You see that. A bunch of it is still not my own words because I can't put it as well as other people write. So I did a bunch of research, and some of the things are still articles from different places, which if anybody wants, I'm happy to send you the articles at the end. But as I was preparing it last week, finally, because a few weeks ago I realized I didn't finish preparing the last lesson, I would have put more in the book had I realized, yeah. Anyway, it's not, so it is what it is, but hopefully it is a relatively short lesson, only six pages, but possibly more discussion, possibly not, I don't know.
I'm joking.
So you said this one you did prepare. Did someone
Yes.
prepare all the others, or did you prepare some
So
of them?
10 out of 15
Yeah.
of the lessons
Yeah.
were a course that I got from somebody else.
Right.
It has her name in the back.
Yeah.
Family Cats in Ellenbogen, and I added 5 lessons to it.
Did you say that because you know the name really well?
You know that Jeanette's related to the Cats and Ellenbogen family.
Let me just play this in, hold on.
Jeanette's related
No, I didn't know that, really.
the Cats and Ellenbogen family. I mean, I don't know specifically how.
No, I think I know who asked me about the name. I think I just know Cats in Ellenbogen because I've heard it. It's in like kids' story tapes and things like that. And I know in Ellenbogen. So Cats in Ellenbogen isn't not much more. Ellenbogen means an elbow in English. Yeah. So I have no idea why it's called. Yeah, I have no idea how somebody would have gotten that name. Okay, would somebody like to read text number 1? We're going to start with reading.
I don't mind.
Sure.
Rev Susha told his students, "When I come to heaven and they ask me, why aren't you like Abraham, our forefather? I will answer, because I wasn't Abraham. If they inquire, why didn't you match the greatness of Moses? I can answer that I wasn't Moses. Even if they try to compare me to my brother, Rev Elimelech, I can still say that I wasn't Elimelech. However, if they ask me why I wasn't the way Zusha needed to be, to that I have no answer."
So, from this we learn that we need to be the best that we can be. We not compare ourselves to others, not be like somebody else or try to be like somebody else, but we have to be the best me. You ever have a situation, yeah, I'm probably going to do lots of reading because these are actually half my words and half not my words this time. Do you ever have a situation where you're about to do something that you're a bit nervous about or scared to do, and you build up the courage to do it, whether it's speaking to your boss about something, addressing a bully, speaking to a friend about a difficult issue, anything. And just about before you start to have doubts. And You feel like you're losing courage and you tell yourself you can't do it. Anyone ever experienced that? No?
Yeah.
You're lucky. One person who never has. So, we can compare these times to Balak and Bilam in the Torah. Balak, I always mix up who was who, just when I looked at my notes, was the king who wanted to curse the Jewish people, and he hired Bilam to do it for him. The Jewish people were about to enter the promised land, and Bilam came to cut them off with the curses, but when he went to curse the Jews, blessings came out instead, right? He couldn't actually curse them. Hashem wouldn't let, couldn't curse them. So, just like Bilam's curses turned into blessings, we need to turn our negative thoughts into positive. When you feel like you're going to be cut off from the potential, what you can do, what you should be doing, if you will, try to focus on your inner qualities, on your strengths, and transform your negative self-talk and become your greatest advocate and bring more goodness into your life and the world at large. And the next thing is an article written by somebody. I tried to summarize it in my notes, but she just writes it too well, sorry. So I'm going to read it. I Am Enough, Finding My Value Without Comparison by Nechama Schusterin. I found it on Chabad.org if anybody wants to see it afterwards. Stillness, peace, crickets chirping and a soft breeze. I feel my heart beat, I hear the leaves. I take a long sip of my chai tea and relax deeper into my patio chair. These moments to myself during COVID are few but necessary. I gaze up at the clear black sky with thousands of silent diamonds staring back at me. Is this how you had intended it all along, I whisper? This is your unconditional love, God, isn't it? Deeply embedded right inside our very own hearts. Is what I'm feeling the unwrapping of the most precious of gifts, a gift no money in the world could ever buy? By now I'm lying down. I close my eyes to allow these feelings to fully emerge. Empty calendar, no program to plan for, nowhere to travel, no guests to invite. This is so unusual for me, but it reflects what is happening to many of us during these times. Could this be the final divine secret unfolding itself before our very eyes? That you have been here all along, just waiting for us to be still enough to feel your embrace? Could it be that it was never your voice inside me shouting at me that I have not done enough today, that someone else's needs come before my own emotional well-being, that dozens of my guests are priority despite my children's need for attention, that I am only loved when I do, that your love for me is conditional? What's your voice then, God? I wait. Silence. I've recently learned how to be more patient. And then I see it, right in front of my closed eyes. Wasn't it just today that I told my students over Zoom that Mount Sinai was chosen to receive the Torah because of his humility and willingness to not engage in a competitive battle? I passionately taught for more than an hour how, although little Sinai's lesson is infinitely huge, this little mountain teaches us that it is not our job to look around at what others have and try to compete and compare. What our friends show off to us on social media, the competition has nothing to do with our own value and worth. The only thing that matters, I practically shout, is that we are who we are meant to be, that we look inwards and not outwards, that we listen to our own soul, that we become our best selves. The world doesn't need millions of clones. The Torah wants our individuality. God needs you, your essence. If you don't be you, who will? Only you can shine the light that is within you, but you cannot shine that light if you are busy comparing yourself and competing with others. When we wake up each morning and say the Modeh Ani meditation, thanking God for a brand new day, we need to ask ourselves, What does the world need from me today? How can I use my natural God-given talents and passions to benefit others? What brings me meaning and joy, and how can I spread that light to the people around me? I barely pause to catch my breath. Do we realize that who we are is enough? That we are loved by God as his child, even just for the very breath that we take? That all he asks of us is to show up each day and give it our best effort? I open my eyes. I now understand. Thank you, God. I hear you loud and clear. You have made me stop from the busy activity to realize in this stillness all your love that is within. I would have put it in here if I huh? Oh, it is. There you go. You could have followed with me. You could have read it.
I have an issue with that.
Yes.
Much, but the reason it's still is because people are dying all over the place.
Yes, but I think her point more is.
I mean, I understand what Tommy said.
Yes.
You know, at the beginning, the reason she's still not going to do anything is because we'll be locked up because.
Yes. I guess this is, somebody recently said to me, that there was good that came out of COVID. And I mentioned that once or twice to people early on, and they said, how can you say it's good people are dying? And I rephrased it to say there are silver linings. Because no, it wasn't a good thing, but there was some positive that came out of it. So I would take this article as that, not that the stillness and the peace was a good thing, but a reality. And what did she learn from this? So what is the silver lining of the situation that she was in? Does that make sense? I didn't ask her, but that's...
When we were both married, he was a previous rabbi, used to do shears with a lot of people. And one of the questions that my mum asked was we were talking about various things about God, and why does God let bad things happen to children, and, you know, sad situation. And the rabbi said that we will stop and say, why did God do this when things bad happen? We don't stop and say, look what God did when good things happen. And I suppose that's sort of this way of looking at it in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting. Taking that one step further, we all recognize when there's something amazing or miraculous in a positive way. So, but what we don't realize is things that we see every single day that are also miraculous. You know, the fact that, I don't know, we can live on planet Earth. You look at the other planets and they're not habitable. The fact that things grow and, you know, everything, when a baby's born, there are so many things that are miraculous that we take for granted. You know, we don't, even if the big things we realize, wow, that was amazing. The little things we don't necessarily realize. Sorry, Sally, you want to say something?
And if nothing bad ever happens, you would stop taking care of your children because nothing ever's going to happen to them. And life can't be like that. Yeah. So sometimes things bad happen to make you stop and say, I've got to take care. I mustn't, you know, put him on the chair and fall down. If he's never going to fall down, I might as well just leave him there and go off somewhere.
When was that piece written that you just read?
When? I don't know.
Oh yes, 22. 20.
It was a Corona reflection.
November the 11th, 2020 at 11:58.
Right, so our experience of Corona is that we put us in, as terrible as it was, there were many good things.
Right, so that's what I was going to say. The silver linings of, and what she learned out of this was that sometimes our inner voice, our self-talk is, we need to do more, we need to be better, we need to, you know, be like someone else. Somebody there. Do you know how to open it? We need to, you know, be like this one or that one or someone else, when really that's ourselves putting pressure on ourselves.
You mean we should be
We
introspective?
have to be the best we can be, not look at others and say, oh, well, it was interesting actually, because during COVID, a lot more went online and a lot more programs went online, and people were much more online because that's where things were happening, right? In the cyber world, everything was happening online. And I'm on a bunch of Rebbitzin groups, Chabad Shlochos groups, all kinds of things. And it was, besides the fact that it was a challenging time, everybody was home, you were stuck at home with your families, or people didn't have family, and still had things to do. And a bunch of Rebbitzins and Shlochos were doing. They were teaching classes. They did more. They were sending things out, packs out, food every week, depending where you were. And it was really, really easy to see everyone else doing this or this or this or this, and say, and think, I'm not doing enough, right? There, you know, she's doing all of these things, and she's doing all of these things, and I'm not doing any of that. And it was really easy to just think, I'm not doing as much as I could be doing. And after a short while, those messages started to come through, all of those same people, to everyone else, that if you're not, you don't have to do everything, because also we were seeing everyone doing everything. So it might be she was doing one thing, she was doing one thing, she was doing one thing, but it's easy to say, gosh, I should be doing all of that, right? And that's not what we need to be doing. We can't compare to others. We have to focus on what we can do, our strengths, our potential. And during COVID especially, it was very easy to turn around and say, we could be doing this and we could be doing that. I know personally, I didn't do classes online. I struggled with all the kids being home. Not because the kids being home, but they had sort of, it was school. They sort of had sort of on school and sort of not on school. And I was putting everything on, I updated the website then, which I haven't had time to do since then, but putting everything online. And I basically created a whole new website that was COVID friendly, that was just easy, accessible for everyone to reach at that point.
How do you know if what you're doing is enough? If you're supposed to be looking at yourself and thinking, is this enough? How do I measure that?
I don't know if I have the answer for that. What I would say is, as long as you're not comparing yourself to others, not looking and saying, wow, she's doing that, I also should. It's what can I be doing? So during COVID, I struggled. I didn't do extra classes. I didn't do anything. I shared everybody else's. I shared everybody else's things, but I didn't do. And at one point I did think, gosh, should I be doing more? I said, you know what? I know that I can't manage it. Therefore, I am doing the best that I can do.
Really, what you were doing is helping your children get that education.
Yes.
By putting them online in all different rooms and all different laptops and things.
As much as the internet allowed.
I remember you saying.
But you organised the fact that the shul could support a large number of people within the community. You delegated and set up. So for you to say you didn't do very much is
right. But because I wasn't actually doing, if you know what I mean,
enabled it to happen.
For me to turn around and think, I'm not doing enough, but I couldn't do any more. Right. And I think that's the thing. I stopped myself from looking at everybody else and saying, they're doing this, they're doing this. And I think that's when you realize when it's enough of what you're doing, because everyone has to know their own limitations. which I learned the year after high school.
Physically, you were looking at it as a physical thing, almost, that physically you weren't doing what other
Yes.
people were doing, but you were doing other things that weren't physical, let's
Yeah.
say.
But you asked how to know if we know it's enough. I think we all know for ourselves, you know, and if it's a matter of you looking at someone else and saying they're doing this, I should be doing this, that's when you have to stop yourself. And is it I'm doing it because I could and should be doing it, or I want to do that or feel the need to do that because someone else is doing it? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Sally? Okay. Just again. And this is where the next point. It's very easy to look at social media and say, oh my gosh, they're doing so much. But I remember, again, on one of these shluchos groups I'm on, she put, shluchos is the Chabad Rebbetzins. That's what they're called. You have shluchim is the men, shluchos is the women. So it's Hebrew. Do you ever hear the Israelis go on shluchot? So it's the same word. It's emissaries.
You know when we've had Israelis come like to Redbridge, like Rebbe Tal and that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, isn't it?
Except they say it in Ivrit, so it's shluchot instead of shluchos. It's the same word. Yes.
So these people that are doing all this, they actually put it on social media.
Sharing it, that's all. They're just sharing it amongst the community.
So what I was going to say is, on one of these posts on the shluchos, so I'm on a Facebook group of shluchos worldwide, so Chabad Rebbetzins who have communities, not teachers, but communities around the world. Some are campus, some have communities, different sorts of communities. And generally it's amazing. You can ask anything. I mean, somebody will say, who's the nearest shlucha to, wherever, and get an answer, contact somebody on the group within a few minutes. But anyway, she posted during COVID 2 pictures side by side. One was the picture that everybody saw on Zoom, and one was a picture of the rest of her house when she was teaching classes, and one was a picture of the rest of her house. There was a kid sitting on the table was piled with books, there were toys all over the floor, one of the kids in the corner on a laptop or something in school, and she said, and it was a good lesson for life, not just Zoom, but what we see on social media is a small, narrow snapshot, thank you, that's a good word, of what's happening, whether it's what's happening in that person's life or whether it's what's happening even at that point in time. And we can't believe everything we see on social media. So it's really easy to compare to social media and say, oh wow, she made an amazing supper, or she's a really great cook, or they did something for 100 people or whatever. But it's not the whole story. And that's why each of us, we have to do the best that we can be and not compare, especially with social media, the pressure. I'm not on any other platform.
A lot of people put things on social media, and that is exactly like you were saying. And somebody else looking at that story or that picture, it does make you feel like, oh, I haven't done that, that's not,
That's our natural response.
Happy family, do you know what I mean? And it affects people quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think.
Self-esteem.
Yeah, I'm not honest.
My kids.
But it works the other way, because sometimes when people do things, they can actually show what they do, and they might find out, actually, I can do that because she did certain work both ways.
Yeah.
So that's, I think it kind of maybe is personal of how person perceive themselves, but also how they take into the new.
I think a lot of
a travel, you can see, oh, that looks really nice, or that looks really crap. That's going to be money and time to go, but then again, it's one's experience.
For
Social media definitely has its positives. I mean, I learned how to get slime out of clothes from YouTube, and it worked. Very, very important. I nearly lost an entire bed sheet and a nightgown and everything because Diddles fell asleep with slime in her hands. What?
Why were you playing with slime?
Not me. Diddles fell asleep with slime in her hands, and she woke up in the morning. It was stuck to everything. Sat in my utility room sink for 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, and she was like, "But I didn't do it." Clearly, you did. Okay. So, what is my potential and how do I recognize it? Next thing, Sally, there you go.
I've been asking that question for many years and still haven't come up with an answer.
Okay. I'm not sure we'll have the answer, but we can try to figure it out. Okay, would somebody like to read text 2?
Okay. Value 1, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. And 2, principles or standards of behaviour, some judgment of what the people can do.
Sorry, that's a definition. I probably should have put that word, missed it out somehow. What is a value? Value is the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Sorry, I left that word out. This is not helpful. Principles of standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So, what are our values in life? What do we feel is most important? And then if we look at text 3, it's an exercise essentially. There is no right or wrong answer. That's the first thing. If you imagine you had a dartboard, right? And the center is your target, right? So it gets you the most points, or it's the best option, or whatever. And then you have a ring on the outside and a ring on the outside. You had to pick 3 of these items to go in the center, 6 of these items to go in the middle ring, and 9 of these items to go in the outer ring. Three of these things to go in the center, 6 in the outer ring. If you want, you can write next to it numbers 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, whatever, however you want to remember. Interestingly, I did this with the last lesson with my bat mitzvah girls as well. And keep in mind, I've only got 2 girls this year. They came up with, first of all, they mixed, I think there's 2 or 4 that more than 3, 6, 9, however many that is. And they mixed the same ones, and they had almost the same answers, which was really interesting. But there's no right or wrong. So
the middle one is the most important.
The middle one is the most important. So 3 in the middle. Sally, do you have them? It's the chart: Jewish tradition, good manners, successful career, helping others.
Very kindly been sent to me. Just have to find it.
6, 3 in the centre.
3 in the middle, 6, 3 in the center, 6 on the next outer ring, so the middle or whatever, and 9 in the outermost ring. Israelic had that once. It took him like 24 hours to properly be able to read again. The headline was interesting.
We're using these on this particular chart. Using these.
Yes.
Going from inside to out.
Yep. So 3 things that are the most important, 6 that are middle importance, you could say. I don't think that's a thing. I only have the one. Oops, sorry. See, if you can't read it, at least somebody else can make use of your pen.
They have to have three. Can you not have more than three?
Three.
No.
And overnighted in the third.
Yes.
So that means there are some that get left out.
Yes. As a mother of 9, I like anything that writes.
I've got an eyebrow pencil.
I've got 5. I need one more.
But the 6 are on an even balance, aren't they?
In theory.
Surely, shouldn't they? Yeah, but three should be balanced. Well.
Unless you actually see it as a dartboard and one's on top. No, I'm joking.
It also depends upon your definition of each of those things.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, you talk about education, at what level and what type?
Don't read too much into it. So I went to the opticians then last week, and I need glasses for reading. So as I was reading, yes,
It's your age.
with those glasses. Huh? Well, no, they probably are. It's just it looks a bit fuzzy. So yeah, now I can't.
I want to get one free.
Well, I brought in glasses that I had been given once, even though I had really good eyesight, so I could never 100% okay. So I brought them and I said, I've never used these before. Can you use these and put new lenses? And they said yes. So I'm getting those.
My reading in the little board, that's what she said. I don't know if you need the lowest level, something about a marriage, anything out plus years there. Very good planning, of course, the design. Because
To do.
you can actually see the dimension, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Clearly now.
Do I have to have 9?
You want more or less?
Less.
I'd like
Oh,
more in a
suppose.
centre and less in the outside.
I don't know what honour is. What's honour?
Honor?
Amongst thieves.
I'm no thief. I don't think in that way.
Someone's just helped me cross one out of my 10. I had 10 instead of 9. It was 3, 6, and 9.
Easy numbers, 3, 6, 9.
Only got 7.
No, not this time. I've done it before. I've done it before, yes. Every bat mitzvah class. I got it from, anyone know Frida Kaplan? She was one of the Robertsons.
Not nicely in.
We've gone back to Israel. So this I got from her. Huh? It's not COVID. Let's have it. At least I don't do what my brothers used to do.
That's a boy.
He could wear t-shirts this short and still. My mother used to buy him. This is as a kid. He doesn't do it anymore.
I haven't done my life yet.
Yeah, I'm done.
This is my office. back to their office. They were
Reputation,
I got a terrific t-shirt.
I did add it, then I realised that was.
Put it on, took a selfie and sent it to the family members after we read separate. You've been out of office for years, Mum.
Oh yeah.
Helping others, friendship is very important.
I obviously don't drive, so I can't go and I'm working. Talk about football, finance.
Sounds good. Okay. Would anybody like to tell us your list? I don't know how to word it. Anybody?
I'll give you mine. You can have mine. Okay, so in the middle, my three are friendship, family, and chesed. And then outside.
Friendship, hold on, I'm just going to repeat it so everyone can hear. Friendship, family, and chesed. Okay?
Friendship, family,
That was Sally's. Kindness. Kindness?
Yeah.
Yes. Friendship, family, and kindness. Okay? No, Sally's not giving us the answers. She's just telling us her thing.
I know, I got it wrong. Did it slightly.
Go on.
My second, in my sixth, I've got love, happiness, integrity, modesty, gratitude, and good manners.
Okay. And your outer one?
That's the hardest.
That was the hardest, she said. Did everyone hear the middle one? Because I'm not sure I remembered all of them to repeat.
Kindness, she said kindness, family.
That was the first one.
In the first one.
Kindness, family, and I don't remember what's the third.
Friendship.
Friendship, that's right.
Yeah. And the outer there?
The outermost one is happiness.
Didn't you say that one already?
Yes, you said happiness before.
Yes.
I don't have it written. Not being a law-abiding person, having faith, respect, education, health, manners, and obviously I've missed a couple.
I think you repeated some. You're cheating.
So I don't regard affluence as something I would.
Anybody put affluence on their target boards?
I've got ambition on the outside.
Yes. 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 Anybody else want to say theirs? Linda? Go on.
So I've put down as 1, family, health is 2, chesed is 3.
In the middle.
They're your first three.
They're my 3.
Yes.
So that's number 1.
It's her 1, 2, and 3 of number 1.
4. Respect. Where am I? Oh yeah. Respect. Where am I? Oh, still Jewish tradition. Sorry, no, forget the Jewish tradition. Respect, friendship, gratitude. 7. Gratitude, happiness, and good manners.
I should have done 3 columns. That would be easier.
And the 9?
No, good manners.
No, the outer.
That's my outer one. I didn't do any more because.
So I've done this differently, so you've got
Go
3,
on.
6 and 9.
Okay, yes, she did. So what did you do, Maddie?
Mine is
One,
total.
2 and 3.
You weren't listening.
I've got totally different thing.
Go on.
Okay, so for me, number 1 is health, family, and Jewish tradition. 6 is education, friendship, helping others, successful career, respect and happiness. And the 9, so integrity, reputation, ambition, law-abiding citizen, faith, good manners, love, and modesty.
Mine was, the number 1, I put integrity, reputation, and respect. The number 2, got helping others, faith, happiness, love, family, gratitude. And for the 9, I've got Jewish tradition, good manners, honour, education, law-abiding citizen, health, friendship, modesty, and democracy. And then for the ones that were not on it at all, power, ambition, affluence, and successful career.
Interesting.
I had the same ones that I didn't put on.
Sorry?
I had the same ones at the end that I didn't put
Oh,
on.
you had the same as me on the end?
Yes, so.
I think those are the same ones that the girls left off also.
They pray, Jewish tradition, helping others and friendship. And the second lot, education, law-abiding, health, integrity, family, respect. And then the 9, good manners, faith, happiness, modesty, democracy, love, ambition, and honour.
Health, family, and respect.
Got 2 of them.
I've got 2 of those as well.
And then second was good tradition, helping others, honour, education, friendship, love. And then good manners, affluence, law-abiding citizen, faith, happiness, and I think it's an age thing, though.
I was going to say.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yes.
No, it's true though. I like what I said, because that's what we do. And what was my other one? Family.
Yes, so my family and friends.
Hillary's going to task.
I put my inner circle, happiness, respect, and family. And then for the middle circle, I put Jewish tradition and good manners, faith, friendships, integrity, and modesty. And then the outer circle, the rest of it is there.
Yeah, there's more than 9 though.
Yeah, there's more than 9, but the only one I didn't fill in was successful career, because I went to work at Honeywell and couldn't a successful career.
Lima, have you done this with your boys?
No. Have I done it with my boys? No. I've done it with bat mitzvah classes. But, so, following on along these lines, and unless anybody specifically wants to discuss that exercise, I don't think there's any point, because everyone has different things, and everybody's values things differently and puts things, whatever's important differently. Did anybody ever see, the professor and the golf balls? A video of the professor and the golf balls. Yes, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've heard it.
Right. So there's a video which I can send if you'd like. A professor who went into class one day He teaches philosophy, and he went into class with a very large jar. You heard it?
Yeah.
And he takes it out the large jar, and he starts filling it with golf balls. Right? He puts in a whole bunch of golf balls, fills it, and he asks the students, "Would you say that the jar is full?" They say, "Yeah, it's full." Then he takes out pebbles, and he starts pouring them in, and obviously they go in between the balls, shakes it a little bit so it fills in, and he turns to them and says, "Now would you say the jar is full?" They say, "Yes, it's full." Then he takes out sand, and he pours sand inside, and obviously the sand fills in between the pebbles. And again, he asks the students, "Would you say that it's full?" And they all, with a resounding answer, say, "Yes, it's full." Then he pulls out, in the story that I got it says 2 cups of coffee. The video version says 2 bottles of beer, whichever you want to go with. Pulls out 2 cups of drink and pours them into the jar. And obviously it then fills it up, and he says, and here it says the students all laughed. So he turned to them and says, "I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the most important things. He lists here your family, your children, your health, your friends, your favorite passions, and everything else. If everything else was lost and only they remained, your life would still be full." Right? I like the golf balls. The pebbles are the other things that matter, your job, your house, your car, and so on. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you would put the sand in the jar first, there would be no room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you won't have room for the things that are most important. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Sorry, it's not this, it's my throat. No, it's not. This is not one of the things that gets me emotional. It's just my throat. Play with your children, spend time with your parents, take your spouse out to dinner, play another 18, take time to get medical checkups. There will always be time to clean the house and fix the vacuum cleaner. I wouldn't totally agree with that because they do have to happen, but I guess don't obsess over them is what I would add. Take care of the golf balls first, the things that really matter. Set your priorities. Life is not a dress rehearsal. The rest is just sand. One of the students raised her hand. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure how much it will help, but thank you. One of the students raised their hand and said, "What does the drink, whether it's coffee or beer, what does that represent?" And he says, "I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a cup of coffee with a friend."
That's
Friendship.
That's totally opposite. Take care of things and then now take care of yourself. Look after the small things, from that.
I think it's a different kind of thing, because yes, it is the opposite, but in a very different thing. So look at whatever.
So if you're
that phrase,
life, then you'll have
that phrase
to,
is being careful about things, but this is talking about what's the most important thing and look after that. It doesn't mean don't look after the small things and make sure they're also happening in your life, but I would say recognize what the most important thing, and I would say, as he puts here, don't worry about the house being clean and fix the vacuum. I would say don't obsess over them. Don't make that a priority over
Sorry.
something else that's more
This
important.
idea of housework that I'm not getting.
These are
I live in a flat, I don't do housework.
Because we're saying
If you ever feel left out, feel free to come around anytime.
when I had my children, everybody's house had to be, make time for playing with the children, because and now you realise when you have grandchildren that now you've got time to play with them and you don't have to worry about the housework, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's generations, different ways of thinking. But and the pennies and the pounds, our parents always said, put away for a rainy day, and you know you'll have more when you're older. Now everybody spends and have what they want, so it is.
But I don't think that's contradictory, in the sense that we can still be, I want to say, money conscious, but not obsess over it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Pay your bills.
Yeah, and saving is good.
But you've got to make sure that you're fundamentally, you can afford to live your life. You know,
And I think that's what
roof over
sometimes
your head, food on the table, and then
the issue is because people overspend, especially a lot of youngsters in this country. Like when you compare prices to other countries, where like in Austria, for example, teenagers don't really have credit cards because in schools we're being told you don't have to have it, and it's good for you not to have it. Whereas over here, or in States, is they don't teach that. That's what I'm saying. So you give 17-year-old a credit card, they go mad, and there's no discipline in that.
It's all down to education.
I just got my kids' cards, all the ones that travel basically. Revolut cards. It's a kid's card. Wait, and I put their pocket money on it. Not my money, their money. So I said, you can spend, this is how much, some of it's in saving, not all of it, some of it's in savings, some of it you could spend, but it's your money you're spending, and they can see what they're spending. There's an app, they can look at it, they can see it.
The spreadsheet is quite clear, and also when you travel abroad, it helps you because it always gives you the beneficial rate without
Yes.
the extra charges are because
Unless you lose your card and the cash that you just withdrew with just in. Although we think it's an inside job because police called them, somehow they knew where he was on tour, but it was really strange. Anyway, we're looking into it. Hopefully we'll get it back, but it was really strange. Oh, then I'm going to ask you. I froze it. They did try to use it 20 times, but I froze the card. They couldn't get to anything.
But you also have a digital card, but also when it comes to tap.
Yeah, but I froze it because we don't know whose hands it's in.
Digital card is different to physical.
Oh, is it?
You've still got a digital card on that.
And you have to go to that chat.
That's good to know.
Can't take cash out.
If you have Revolut, I'm going to ask you how they transfer, because he tried to transfer money to a friend and it didn't work. But this off topic afterwards. Yeah, he's fat. He wasn't mad. He had it in his wallet, and he had it 1 minute, and they went out for something. He came back. It was on the bus. It was on their coach, their designated coach, in his backpack. He left it. They went somewhere. Came back and it was gone. Yeah, and he had just withdrawn 300 shekels the night before, which is only like £67, but still. Yeah, and so his card is gone. I said, what else did you have in your wallet? So, I wanted to. He had my business card and my husband's business card and a Myc and he thinks nothing else. I'm like, okay, fine. That's okay.
It's for that because when you have the digital card, when I go around each places, I never take my physical card. All is on my digital card against the wall.
Took his wallet, took his phone.
What was that?
On Sunday, on South Woodford.
Really?
Someone you know? Go through the road, was just the other side.
Yeah, it's Starbucks. Because I go to Creative Biscuit, and I got annoyed because I
Please don't
drive.
tell any of my children.
It's very relevant because it's all about education and faith. So the comments were relevant.
Do my own play there.
Goes to where?
I did. It's a kind of like clay. It depends. A lot of people do painting, but I do my own pottery. So I can camp up during the day and do my pottery. But they do. So every second Thursday they have adult classes, so there are no kids. But it's nice because you can make it wherever you want. It's actually cheaper to make your own stuff than actually paint.
Cool. There you go.
It just takes time to kind of, get the things together so
Okay. So, we need to make sure, taking all of this into account, whatever your priority, whatever your golf balls are, we need to make sure that we make time for the most important things in our life first. And following on from that, do we always appreciate the time that we have? Or do we use our time wisely or the best way that we can? Huh? So, hold on. Okay, going to take a slightly different track now, tie it in at the end. Hold on. We need to make sure that we recognize our potential and the best that we can be. But how does this connect with our communities and with the wider community? Do we first need to work on ourselves or join together with others? Anyone have any thoughts on that question first?
Yeah, I do. You know when you get on an aeroplane, they say you have to put your own mask on first before you help anybody else.
Yes.
So in that way, I think you sort of have to work on yourself first and then on others.
Yes, that makes sense, but
depends upon where you're going and how you're getting there. Depends upon what your story and your journey might be. So sometimes the two things are very integrated. And so for example, there are some things that one does within a community that are good for you and maybe good for the community. And if they're not good for you, then you have to step back. But you do need to look after your health and your mental health in order to be able to reach your potential and do with your community.
Did everyone hear that? So I would agree with Sally, and yes and no. And the reason I say that is because often you hear people who say, oh, well, I have to get my career under control before I start a family, married or whatever. I have to do this before I, no, it's not quite the same as community, but, and the goalpost keeps changing, right? They've got a career, I have to be making this much, or I have to be doing this, or I have to, and it's very easy to say, well, I have to look after myself first before I can be a useful member of society or whatever it is.
You haven't eaten and you haven't got or whatever. How do you help other people? There are some ways you can, but
there are some ways you can. So I think that's why I said yes and no, because sometimes, yes, we do have to look after ourselves. As Sally said, we have to make sure we look after our physical health, our mental health, our physical needs, right? So imagine a conductor. Who said they went and heard something? Yes, a conductor. Was there a conductor? You want to describe it? Imagine there was a conductor and yes, from music.
What sort of conductor? A bus conductor?
No.
Or an orchestra?
Orchestra. And his arms move, I don't know, I'm not even going to try a copy. One moment I'm going to describe someone else's thing. One moment, some of it's summarized, some of it's somebody else's words, can't remember. One moment they're in fists, rigid and intense. Another moment soft and gentle and sweet. Sometimes they seem, if I can speak, sometimes they seem to move in slow motion, spontaneously slowing or speeding to capture the nuanced rhythm of a measure or to savor the tension dissonance of a chord. With his back to us, you can imagine his expressions changing with the music. Think about the players, the musicians, many of them. First violins, I've only been to an orchestra thing once, it was stunning. We were all the way in the back with all the Hamishes that were eating throughout, so it was hard to hear, but it was still stunning. Think about the players, the musicians, many of them. First violins and second violins and violas and cellos, and harp and flutes and oboes and clarinets and piccolo clarinets and bass clarinets and horns and trumpets and trombones and tubas and percussion and piano. Each sound another, I don't know how you pronounce this. Do you have it there as well? Oh, I'm reading it. Another color, another world. But somehow they're all one. The players and the instruments. I wonder if I put the wrong notes in the wrong thing. The players and the, because I was supposed to put different articles in there. Anyway, the players and the, I've lost the thing, and the instruments. The instruments and the orchestra. The orchestra and the conductor and the music and the energy pulsating through the room. How can so many different instruments produce such a seamlessly unified sound? If you've ever heard a room full of players practicing simultaneously, you know that the sound is something short of nails on a chalkboard. Has anyone ever heard lots of different musicians practicing at a time? It's not very nice. However, give them some amazing sheet music and a masterful conductor and some serious practice, and they can create something so beyond the sum of its parts, something that transcends sound and becomes music. Think about the paradox of individual versus community. How do we reconcile these conflicting notions? Should we allow ourselves to be swept away into the bigger picture without being so concerned with ourselves and our own ambitions? Or should we invest in developing and expressing our own personalities and talents and concern ourselves less with being part of the communal whole? And does it always have to be a trade-off? Is it possible to both play my own instrument and be part of the ensemble, to truly feel that I matter and that I don't matter at the same time? In truth, the soul desires, I don't know what time I started going into my own words, so at some point you might go, huh, it doesn't say that here. In truth, the soul desires both, to make its own unique mark on the world and to be absorbed in something greater and higher than itself. These are not mutually exclusive goals. They are inextricably bound, two sides of the same coin. A true community is one in which every single person has the ability to express his or her individuality to the fullest extent. At the same time, one can truly actualize his potential, his true potential, only when one is part of the community. One might think that we should refine and perfect ourselves as individuals, and then we can all join together to create the perfect nation. However, the Torah teaches us that our first and foremost priority as Jews should be to unite as a community, to love our fellow Jew, no matter how imperfect, to the extent that we feel one with him, to create a spirit of togetherness and oneness much more powerful than the sum of its parts. For this oneness is the source of our strength, allowing us to reach our full potential. It is this unity that propels us as individuals to reach unimaginable heights. The player can sit on a stage by himself and play, but when he's playing with the orchestra, there's something transcendent taking place, and that's when he knows who really counts. We also need to work within a community because, like a symphony, we are one and unique, but together we all make the symphony happen. It takes each instrument, each player, and the conductor to work hard together to all make the music happen and sound beautiful. So the answer is both. We need to be ourselves, we need to reach our full potential, but we can be our unique individual person within a community. And hopefully that's where we have, when I was in high school, one of the families I boarded by, mother always used to say different strokes for different folks, right? And we're all different, and we all have different strengths, and we all have different skills, and we all have different personalities. And by all of us doing the best that we can do, we can all together accomplish a lot, and lots of different things. So then what is our target in life? What is our actual goal as a whole, as a community, as a world? And this is where we reach the next thing, I think. A utopian world, right? So what is utopia? Would somebody like to read text 4? Really short, sweet, and to the point. It's a definition. Again, I forgot to put the word. Why? I don't know. Go on.
Utopia, an imagined place, a state of things in which everything is perfect.
So, a utopian world, an imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. Can we, well, doesn't exist. Huh? It's an oxymoron. Is it there? Something else to read. Hold on, I'm just seeing. Yeah. Some people think Judaism is all about tradition. I got this from somebody else also, part of it. It's not. It's about making a whole new world. Is this one also in there?
Yeah.
I've shortened this one though. Sure, our tradition is important. It starts with Abraham smashing the idol of his father's house, Moses liberating a people from slavery, Isaiah lecturing a war-hungry civilization on world peace. It's a long tradition, and it's all about one thing: changing the world, getting it in tune with its real purpose, with what it really is. We've been doing that for 4,000 years with the conviction that it's really going to happen. The time will come. Our mothers and fathers in every generation prayed for that time. Every book of Torah is filled with the idea. Every mitzvah we do is meant to create that world. For all our history, we lived and sacrificed our lives with the hope in our hearts and on our lips. What does it mean to have an ideal world? Can we have it, and should we even try? But we're set up for this. Imagine, I definitely rewrote this. Imagine you are somehow speaking to your great-great-grandparents or your great-grandparents, whatever, and they ask you, what's happening? And you describe to them how you have...
By the time you try to explain to them a plane, you know...
Forget about a plane. So I just used what the original one he had, and I changed it a little bit. You describe how you have a fridge that keeps food for long periods of time, or sometimes not so long. And you can then take out the food whenever you want, and they say, what, you only eat cold food, Nebach? And no, we can heat it up in the microwave, and your house is always the right temperature with heating or air conditioning. In some countries, the government helps and supports religious freedom. People teach tolerance and peace. Food is plentiful in many countries. A miraculous world, a perfect world. Mashiach has finally come. You didn't tell them that lots of people are in debt. There are still areas in the world with extreme poverty and lack of food, that the internet is used for bad as well as it is good, and that there's still suffering and evil in this world. But despite these things, the stage is set. We are ready and primed for a perfect world like never before. The world is more ready than it ever has been.
No.
I feel like I missed out some words there. It's prime that we have. No, it's not from the article. Words that I wanted to put in my notes. It's primed because we are preaching, if you will, peace and harmony. You hear it from all walks of life, all around the world. People do try to help others. So, can we create this perfect world that we learn about and talk about when Mashiach comes? We can, and the world is ready. How? We have the power, as we spoke throughout the course, to reveal the infinite in our mundane world with acts of wisdom and beauty, with the guidance of the light of Torah. This is our mission, not to escape the physical world, not to shun it, but to embrace it and uncover the spirituality. And this will complete the world and bring Mashiach, creating that utopian world. Not impossible. We've never seen it, but we believe it. We say every day we have the 13 principles of faith, and Ani Mamin, I believe that Mashiach is going to come. In recent history, No Jewish leader has done as much to raise our awareness and fire our anticipation of the coming of Mashiach than the Lubavitcher Rebbe. From the beginning of the Rebbe's leadership, he stood by the conviction that our generation is the generation of Geula, the liberation of the world. He saw technology as the world readying itself for that time. As I said before, technology can be used for bad, but it's also very good. When technology came out, a lot of people in the Frumer communities shunned it and said, stay away from it. The Rebbe embraced it. Yes, but the Rebbe embraced it and said, we can use it for good. There was cyberspace, was one of the first Chabad shluchim, more than any other countries were sent out. It was one of the first things. There was an educational presence on the internet. In the early 1980s, the Rebbe began to talk even more about the future. He envisioned the collapse of the Soviet Empire years before it began. When Russian Jews were suddenly free to return to their roots, his people were already in place to teach them. He saw the conflict with Iraq as a sign of a miraculous new world order. He spoke with absolute certitude, with a fire in his heart and in his voice, proclaiming that the time has come. Mashiach is already on his way. He said we only need to increase in acts of goodness and kindness to make it happen sooner. So what can we do now? The making of a whole new world is like any interactive experience. You could just sit back and watch it happen eventually, or you could take a proactive role and be one of those who make it happen. Being part of it is obviously going to be a lot more rewarding. Anyone who adds even one more act of kindness to this world is a partner in building the whole new world we're waiting for. A helping hand, a friendly smile. Who knows? That one beautiful act may be the final one needed to tip the scales. Imagine life in the times of Mashiach, a life untainted by stress and worry, beyond petty jealousies and quarrels, where all human occupations are transformed to spiritual paths towards a deeper wisdom and a higher knowledge. Imagine it and then start to live it now. As the Rebbe repeatedly said, everything is here now. All that's left is for us to open our eyes. So, are we doing everything we can to create this world? We pray every day. We pray every day for the coming of Mashiach, for that utopian world. But we need to make sure that we use our potential to its fullest to make that happen. We have the ability to see things positively and to use the physical world for good. Each positive step we take and each positive thing we do is one step closer to that perfect world. So now, after, in the book, which I didn't catch, she put after 10 weeks, after these 14 lessons and many, many, many months, going beyond the original dates, with everything we've learned, hopefully your perspective on Judaism and specifically on Jewish women has changed, improved, I don't know. And hopefully you feel now that you are, or can become, an Eshet Chayil, a true Jewish superwoman. Because as somebody said, was it last week we did Eshet Chayil? Last week, I think Brenda said, can't be a real person who does all these things. Yes, a Jewish superwoman. And we can embrace our feminine attributes and use them to our advantage within the family and our community. And hopefully everyone has a stronger connection with their Jewishness and will be able to put all of these things into action. And that is the end. So can I just ask, sorry Maddie, can I grab my pen back?
Yes.
Who would like to, you don't have to tell me what you're doing or what you're saying, but who would like to present something at our graduation thingy? Yeah? 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 Pressure here. Lydia? Okay. Belinda?
I'm down.
Oh yeah? I'm going to listen to you lovely lady.
There are limits.
Sorry?
How long should it be? Because there's a lot of them. 2 minutes.
Sally, you want to say something?
Well, it depends. Probably yes.
So I think I said at the end of last. Brenda, did you want to say something? No. Sally. Brenda's nodding in the background. It's not to her speaking, it's to you speaking. I said at the end of last one that we had a bat mitzvah a couple of weeks ago, and I presented a certificate and everything. Oh, you were at the bat mitzvah. The certificate at the end of the thing. And what I'd like to do is anyone who would like to present, whether it's based on one of the lessons we learned or what you gained out of the course in general. So we're going to do the certificates in shul at the end of the service, and then we're doing the celebration at the Kiddush lunch at our house. So during the lunch, whoever wants to present something can present something.
Yeah, I was just
short.
Short, okay. So a couple of okay.
So I've got Pam, Maddie, Paula, Hilary, Lydia, Belinda, and Sally. Yes, sounds good. Speak now, forever hold peace. Now.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
How have you found this? Because if you look at the age group of this group that you've had, I would love to do the same thing with a group of younger women. With greatest respect to my peer group.
Well, we started
actually with someone younger than I am.
We started with a few
I remember
younger people. I think they found it challenging with the time commitment. So as much as I would love for younger people to experience this course, is the words I think I would use. They have to want it enough to make it a priority. So, sure, if you want to get a group of people on board.
I just wonder what your thoughts are about doing it with people who've got more spare time.
I don't have a problem.
Is that a new experience for you?
It was definitely a new experience for me. I found it fascinating. Yes. Okay. Some of it I didn't know before, so I learned a lot of it with you. But yeah, I think it was great. I would say it was an experience. The front of the book, right? So again, this is from the original author of the curriculum. She called it The Jewish Woman's Journey. And I think that sounds about right, because we all together, we didn't learn it. We discussed and talked and hopefully all grew, if not with knowledge, with what we do and think about things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about from that, what each person's journey from the beginning. So I thought everybody kept kosher. I thought the whole world volunteered. I had no idea that people live differently, because where had I ever been that I would know any different to that? So it's very interesting.
No two people are like this, Ali. So everyone does something different.
But it was just interesting. I mean, when I discovered that I was a volunteer, I was very, very grown up and retired. You know, it's just interesting to watch the paths and then to look at your children's path and see how similar or dissimilar they are to you.
Well, I also started working in my local shul when I was little. That's how I know how to seal 20 envelopes at a time with a sponge, because I was about 10 when we used to go Slichos night, because Slichos is usually midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever. So we used to go after Shabbos, about an hour after Shabbos, and we would go to the Chabad house, and we'd have all these tables around, and everyone would get a table, and you'd have some of people stuffing all the Rosh Hashanah mailing, and we would do it that night. Everyone who was coming to Sukkot would come, and some people would fold, some people would stuff, some people would label, some people would stamp or whatever it was. I don't think we did stamps. I think it was a bulk something or other, and some people sealed. So I learned I can fold a trifold paper to fit into an envelope in my sleep to this day. I can seal 20 envelopes super fast, faster than anybody else. I was only about 12 or 13, but I learned how to do it. I can also, something when I went to high school, one of the Chabad houses wanted to send a mailing, got all the high school girls to do all the work, and it had to be sorted in a specific way by postcode. And the Rebbitzin, it was the first time they were doing it like this, and the Rebbitzin had no idea what she was doing. I said, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I did this back home. I was only 12 when I learned how to sort by postcode. I'm like, yeah, you need to do it like this. And she's like, okay, can you show everybody what to do? I was only 14. But I took charge. I was sorting it. So yeah, my kids do the same thing. They know, you know, how to do so many interesting things, different things, because it's a different community, different requirements. They help cook with me in the kitchen, and when I'm not home, they wander over to the show kitchen. Oh, I thought I'd find you here. They know how to set up centerpieces and lay tables, and yeah, I've got a great team that can lay 100 place settings in 25 minutes or whatever it is.
Very useful skills forever.
Very useful skills. My kids also know lots of house skills, like, you know, cleaning bathrooms and doing laundry, because that's what happens when you homeschool and don't have a cleaner.
She's back. She's back.
I was only allowed to do my homework and keep well away from anything to do with the house. That was her department, the kitchen and the housework were her department, and it was nothing to do with me, and I was to sit and do my homework, and that was it.
Yeah, my kids definitely learn all types of skills.
I'm a useless housewife, a useless cook.
And it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls, because I think they can both learn equally.
Especially the boys, I think, when really, I think a lot of men, they like too many mommy boys kind of thing. Everything has to be like given to them, and then they become others, and I think lots of young women struggle with them.
But I think a lot of women nowadays also do. It's not just boys. I think a lot of people do nowadays. So
Go and say good night to you.
People learn equally. Ellie just got back from camp. What day is it today? Monday? Last night. He got back last night. He was head cook in Ezra camp. He cooked for 130 people every day. So, and no complaints. The food was good. The kitchen was left spotless, and the owners of the place came in to just check that they left it clean. It's like, well, I wasn't expecting you to clean it that well, because I gave him all the tools. I told him what he needed to do to clean it in case they had to clean it, because they had to kasher it when they first got there. So I gave him all the tools and all the tips for the best way to kasher it, to clean it in order to kasher it, because often when you go to public places, things are not actually clean well enough to kasher, because it has to be spotless, like new. So we went shopping to Kosher Outlet, and I said, you want this, and you want this, take this, and this, and I supplied him with all the things. So it was clean when they got there, so he didn't need them. So he used them all at the end, and they were so impressed with how clean it was. So, yes, oh yes, oh yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going because it's after 11 now.
Good night.
Good night. I'll see you all Shabbos a week.
Sounds good.
Safe journey home.
Safe journey home.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. I'm not doing it. Okay, so before we go, we have to take a picture. I'm sure we can let that. I need to get my photographer.
The rabbi that had such a hindsight, in the right place, how was he just a very intelligent man that knew about technology and forward thinking and sending out people to places? It seems that people didn't think like that, yes.
So,
and that's also very different, like when you look at communities like the one in Stamford Hill, because they still are really, I've got a few friends, and